Boom, Thundercloud here, and I got a poem from Australian poets 1788 to 1888. And this one is a beautifully written, beautiful poem, really, called A Voice from the Bush. I'll read you out the prologue. This poem has been hitherto printed among the works of Adam Lindsay Gordon, but its real authorship is well known among students of Australian literature. And though the author wishes his name not to appear again, the poem is given finally revised for him for Australian Ballads and Rhymes. In that volume, a printer, after the proofs had been sent back, finally corrected, finding this poem given anonymously, took upon himself to pen the name of the author to the preceding piece, which happened to be that of the editor, who, of course, immediately wrote off to the papers the disclaimer repeated here. So, A Voice from the Bush by Anonymous. High noon, and not a cloud in the sky to break this blinding sun. Well, I've half the day before me still, and most of my journey done. There's little enough of shade to be got, but I'll take what I can get, for I'm not as hearty as I once was, although I'm a young man yet. Young. Well, yeah, I suppose so as far as the seasons go, though there's many a man far older than I down there in the town below. Older, but men to whom in the pride of their manhood strong, the hardest work is never too hard, nor the longest day too long. But I've cut my cake, so I can't complain, and I've only myself to blame. Hey, that was always their tale at home, and here it's just the same. Of the seed I've sown in pleasure, the harvest I'm reaping in pain. Could I put my life a few years back? Would I live that life again? Would I? Of course I would. What glorious days they were! It sometimes seems but the dream of a dream that life could have been so fair, so sweet, but a short time back, while now, if one can call. This life I almost doubt at times if it's worth the living at all. One of these poets, which is it, somewhere or other, sings that the crown of a sorrow's sorrow is remembering happier things. What the crown of a sorrow's sorrow may be, I know not, but this I know. It lightens the years that are now sometimes to think of the years ago. Where are they now? I wonder with whom those years were passed. The pace was a little too good, I fear, for many of them to last. And there's always plenty to take their place when the leaders begin to decline. Still, I wish them well wherever they are, for the sake of the old lang syne. Jack Villiers, Galloping Jack. What a beggar he was to ride. Was shot in a gambling row last year on the Californian side. And Bing, the best of the lot, who was broke in the Derby of '58, is keeping sheep with Harry Lapel somewhere on the River Plate. Do they ever think of me at all and the fun we used to share? It gives me a pleasant hour or so, and I've none too many to spare. This dull blood runs as it used to run, and the spent flame flickers up. As I think on the cheers that rang in my ears when I won the Garrison Cup, and how the regiment roared to a man while the voice of the fielders shook, as I swung in my stride 6 lengths to the good, hard, held over Brixworth Brook. Instead of the parrot's screech, I seemed to hear the twang of the horn, as once again from the Barclay halt I set the pick of the corn. Well, those were harmless pleasures enough, for I hold him worse than an ass, who shakes his head at a neck on the post or a quick thing over the grass. Go for yourself, and you go to win, and you can't very well go wrong. Gad, if I'd only stuck to that, I'd be singing a different song. As to the one I'm singing, it's pretty well known to all. We knew too much, but not quite enough, and so we went to the wall, while those who cared not if their work was done, how dirty their hands might be, went up on our shoulders and kicked us down when they got to the top of the tree. But though it's one's mind at times, there's little good in a curse. One comfort is, though it's not very well, it might be a great deal worse. A roof to my head, and a bite to my mouth, and no one likely to know I'm Bill the Bushman, the dandy who went to the dogs long years ago. Out there on the station, among the lads, I get along pretty well. It's only when I come into town that I feel this life such a hell. Booted and bearded and burned to a brick, I loaf along the street, and I watch the ladies tripping by and bless their dainty feet. I watch them here and there with a bitter feeling of pain. Ah, what wouldn't I give to feel a lady's hand again? They used to be glad to see me once. They might have been so today. But we never knew the worth of a thing until we have thrown it away. I watch them but from afar, and I pull my old cap over my eyes, partly to hide the tears that, rude and rough as I am, will rise, and partly because I cannot bear that such as they should see the man that I am when I know, though they don't, the man that I ought to be. Puff. With the last whiff of my pipe, I blow these fancies away, for I must be jogging along if I want to get down into town today, as I know I shall reach my journey's end, though I travel not over fast, so the end of my journey longer will come in its own good time. At last, anonymous, a voice from the bush. I'm Thundercloud, and if you love that, which what a great story, hey? That's why I love poetry, because it tells this like wonderful parts of history and that we don't usually pick up, and they're always from an individual, unique perspective, and well written and beautifully written like that one. So if you love that like I did, give it a heart or a thumbs up. Leave a comment. What did you love about it? And subscribe for more poems from Australian poets, 1788 to 1888. I'm Thundercloud. Boom.